Dr. Jim Fazzone. I'm here with Gary Mattia, and you are in the principal's office.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jim Fazzone, and you're in the principal's office. You were with us last week. We were talking about several things about pleasure reading, but today we're going to talk about tips for studying at home during our current situation. We have with us Nick Sikowski. He's our producer director, and Gary Mattia. He's also principal over at the Asapink Center. And some of the tips that we're going to talk about will hopefully help you not only in our current situation for teaching and learning, but also for studying throughout your academic career, which any academic career should last forever. The first number one tip that we have is clean out your study space. Find a spot in your house and clean it out. You might not have your own room. You might have to do it somewhere, maybe a dining room table or TV table in the living room, whatever, but make that your area for studying. Also, communicate to others in your home that you're going to be studying at that time, and that way they'll understand and they can be respectful. Tune out distractions. You want to tune out that noise that's around you. Turn off the TV, don't have your phone on. Make sure that you're concentrating on what you're doing. Focus is number 4, and you want to focus on what you're doing. Remember, we've used this quote before. Thoreau says, be where you are. So when you're studying, be where you are. And make sure that studying is what you're doing. Reward yourself. Focusing on studying can be arduous, and make sure you take time out for yourself. You might want to do some pleasure reading. You might want to watch a show that you like. You might want to talk with your friends, but do that later. Make sure that while you're studying, and be where you are when you're talking with your friends or doing that. You can do that at that time. Keep reading. Remember, we've talked about that reading for pleasure is a fun thing. And then set realistic goals. Number 7, set realistic goals for yourself. You can compartmentalize some of these goals so that you're working on them one at a time. But that's the information that we have. It came from the gmat.economist.com, and you can look those up, read them on your own if you'd like. We think they're kind of useful. So, Mr. Mattia, what do you do? Because you have all kinds of things to do as a principal over at your school. What do you do so that you can focus?
Well, I think a lot of the things that you talked about, first of all, one of the key things for me is to kind of keep the distractions away from where I'm at. I've set up a spot in a spare room, so I was lucky enough to have another room in the house. And that really becomes my kind of office away from the office. But I keep the distractions away. It allows me to focus. And I think that's worked really great for me. As you said, Dr. Fazzone, sometimes you may not have that luxury of having a room for yourself. But if you're setting up at the dining room table or kitchen table or even in your own room, it's important to let everyone know that this is my space and this is where I'm working, because you're actually working on your schoolwork, and you can't have those distractions and things during the day when you're supposed to be tuned into your class. So that's big for me, I think. And, everyone has to realize, this is a priority. You need to make sure that you're working hard and that people are respecting what you've asked them to do for you.
And sometimes you will get off task. If you notice behind me, we have our friends from the prom, Bernice and D'Artagnan, and they're not really interrupting. And the main reason they aren't because they're rooms and they wouldn't interrupt. However, we could also always, my cat comes out here, Frankie, Frankenstein's her name, but Frankie for short. And if she walks across the keyboard, she'll turn the whole show off. So things can happen, but let's try to keep them to a minimum. And then if something does, sometimes mom or dad, parent or guardian may ask you to do something, and while you're studying, you have to stop, but then try to get back to it and pick up where you left off. Mr. Sikowski, you had to want to let us know, our listeners know about and viewers about the podcast, correct?
Yes, I do. We are continuing the MCTS experience with Mr. Nash and Mr. Orff, and we have also added the audio versions of these shows to our podcast that's also on the MCTS experience, and we're going to have that up this week to start the new year. So it'll be a great way to learn more from other staff members from Mercer County Technical Schools so that we can really give every information we can possible to all the parents out there and students.
Oh, great. Very good. And we hope everyone does tune in. Before we leave, I want to go over 1 through 7, the tips that we went over today. Number 1, carve out and clean out your study space. Number 2, communicate to others in your home that you will be studying. Number 3, tune out distractions. Number 4, focus. Number 5, reward yourself. Number 6, keep reading, pleasure reading. And number 7, set realistic goals. Do we have anything else for today?
Well, I just wanted to remind everyone, as we are all virtual at this time, it is extremely important that you check in with your teacher each day, because the teacher then can mark you down as being present in the class, and that attendance is a great, a great part of being here and doing your work. So please let the teachers know that you're here every day. Check in. If there is a day when you're not feeling well, and you're ill and you can't come in, it would be great if you could reach out to the teacher and let them know that as well. But it's very important. If you're struggling with something, if you have some difficulties, again, ask your teacher. They can certainly give you some help in those areas where you're having difficulties. While all this is different, I think we're getting much better at it. And I think we need to, as we move forward, just continue to work as hard as you possibly can.
And one thing I wanted to point out, again, a reminder, we talked about this before. Yes, it's different, but you've been in school for a long time. The only true difference is that before you were sitting in a classroom and the teacher was in the classroom with you. You're still sitting really in your classroom, but through the use of technology, the teacher's in their classroom and you are communicating back and forth during that real-time instruction. And then all those assignments and prompts and grades and those kind of things can come to you through Google Classroom. So, if we don't have anything else for Gary Mattia, somebody got something?
I would actually like to add that for parents, make sure, and guardians, to make sure that you're checking your emails that you put in for registration when you signed up your child, so that anything that's sent from us, you guys can be aware of. Just like we just sent out the reopening survey for your input on November 9th. So if you have not filled that out, look on your emails and make sure you can complete that survey as soon as you see it.
So, if there's nothing else, Gary Mattia, Nick Sikowski, Bernice, D'Artagnan, and myself, Dr. Jim Fazzone, we will see you next week in the principal's office. Bye-bye.